She stood under the pale glow of a stadium light, her breath forming thin clouds in the October night. Thousands of fans were still inside the John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, Virginia, cheering for Metallica, but for 20-year-old Morgan Harrington, the night had taken a strange turn. It was October 17, 2009, and this would be the last time anyone saw her alive. Morgan wasn't the kind of person who vanished. She was bright, warm, and had a spark that drew people in. A junior at Virginia Tech majoring in education, she had plans to teach, travel, and build a life that mattered. That night, she and 3 friends had driven 2 hours from Blacksburg to see one of their favorite bands. The night started like any other. Laughter, selfies, the buzz of live music. But around 8:40 p.m., something went wrong. For reasons no one could clearly explain, Morgan left the arena during the show. She told her friends she'd meet them inside after a bathroom break, but when they tried to call her later, her phone went straight to voicemail. Security wouldn't let her back in without a ticket, and she didn't have it with her. Witnesses later recalled seeing her outside, wandering near the arena gates looking confused and frustrated. At 9:30 p.m., Morgan called her friends to say she wouldn't be able to get back in and would find her own way home. It was a strange choice. Her friends had the car keys, and she was more than 2 hours from campus. But the tone in her voice seemed calm, confident, like she believed she could figure it out. That was the last time anyone heard her voice. By midnight, panic had set in. Her friends searched the parking lots, calling her name, hoping she'd somehow made it back to the car. She hadn't. When they finally had to leave Charlottesville without her, they assumed she might have found another ride or stayed with someone she knew. But as the hours passed and her phone remained dark, dread began to take hold. The next morning, Morgan's parents, Dan and Gil Harrington, received the call no parent wants. Their daughter was missing. Dan, a doctor, and Gil, a nurse, knew something was terribly wrong. Morgan wasn't reckless. She wasn't the kind of person to just vanish after a concert. They reported her missing immediately, and within days, the search began. Police scoured the area around the arena, interviewing witnesses and analyzing security footage. They found grainy clips showing Morgan outside the venue, wearing a black Pantera shirt, black miniskirt, and black boots. She looked disoriented, but not panicked. Then she crossed a nearby bridge, the last confirmed sighting of her. Her purse and phone were later found in a nearby parking lot. The phone's battery had been removed, as if someone wanted to make sure she couldn't be tracked. That single detail sent a chill through investigators. Whoever took Morgan knew what they were doing. Days turned into weeks. Volunteers combed through fields and woods, helicopters scanned the area, and police dogs followed faint trails that went cold too quickly. Gil and Dan appeared on television, pleading for their daughter's return, their faces drawn with exhaustion. The case caught national attention, and even Metallica themselves released a public appeal offering a $50,000 reward for information. But nothing. No sightings, no leads, no body. Until January 26, 2010. A farmer in Albemarle County, about 10 miles from the concert venue, discovered something tangled in the tall, dry grass of his field. At first, he thought it was animal remains, but as he got closer, he realized what he was looking at: the skeletal remains of a young woman. Forensic testing confirmed what everyone feared. It was Morgan Harrington. Her remains told a brutal story. She had been assaulted, her bones showing signs of blunt force trauma. The exact cause of death couldn't be determined, but investigators knew she had been murdered. Her final hours, however, were still a mystery. The discovery reignited the case. Police started looking into known offenders in the area, collecting DNA samples from anyone with a record of violence. Months passed with no break, until 2010, when the state crime lab found something shocking. DNA from Morgan's case matched DNA from another crime, a brutal assault in Fairfax, Virginia, in 2005. That victim, a young woman, had been attacked while walking home at night. The man dragged her into a field, assaulted her, and vanished. She survived, and her attacker's DNA had been preserved. For years, it sat in a database, waiting. Now it had spoken. The same man who attacked her had killed Morgan Harrington. But who was he? At first, police had no name, only a genetic fingerprint. Then, in 2014, another young woman in Charlottesville went missing. 18-year-old Hannah Graham, a University of Virginia student. Her disappearance was eerily similar. She'd been out with friends, got separated from the group, and vanished into the night. Surveillance footage showed Hannah walking with a man, tall, athletic, wearing dreadlocks. His name was Jesse Matthew. He was a local cab driver and former college athlete who had worked on and off at the university. When investigators tested his DNA, the results were undeniable. It matched both the Fairfax assault and Morgan Harrington's murder. The pieces fell into place like a grim puzzle. Jesse Matthew had been hiding in plain sight for nearly a decade. He had blended into his community, smiling at neighbors, holding jobs, dating women, all while harboring a dark, predatory secret. When police searched his apartment, they found disturbing evidence linking him to both victims. Fibers, traces of blood, and personal items tied him directly to the crimes. Under questioning, Matthew refused to speak, but the DNA told the story he wouldn't. In 2015, he was charged with the abduction and murder of both Morgan Harrington and Hannah Graham. Faced with overwhelming evidence, he eventually accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to 4 life terms in prison with no chance of parole. For Morgan's parents, it wasn't justice. Not really. It was closure, maybe, but not peace. Dan Harrington later said that losing Morgan was like losing the sun. Her death had cast a shadow over everything. Gil, her mother, turned her grief into advocacy, working to raise awareness about violence against women and campus safety. She often spoke about the need to shine light into dark places, but there were haunting details that continued to linger. Why had Morgan gone outside in the first place? Was she lured? Was there someone helping Matthew that night? Some witnesses claimed to have seen a man with dreadlocks near the arena hours before Morgan disappeared, though police could never fully confirm it. Investigators believe Matthew encountered Morgan somewhere near the bridge, offering her a ride. She was stranded, cold, and desperate to get home, an easy target for someone who knew exactly what to say. The drive from Charlottesville to the field where her body was found was less than 20 minutes. Somewhere along that route, the night turned deadly. The most chilling part of the story isn't the violence itself. It is how ordinary it all seemed. A concert, a ride, a college student just trying to get home. It's the realization that evil doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it offers you help. In the years since, the case of Morgan Harrington has become a warning for college students across America. It sparked changes in campus safety policies, inspired DNA database expansions, and reminded people that justice may be slow, but it doesn't forget. Metallica later met with Morgan's parents, dedicating their song, The Unforgiven 3, to her memory during a concert. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything to a family whose world had been shattered. Jesse Matthew remains behind bars, serving his sentence in a Virginia prison. Reports from inside describe him as withdrawn and unrepentant. Some inmates claim he spends hours staring at the walls, lost in his own silence. Others say he still smiles when his name appears on the news. For the families of his victims, silence has a different weight. It's the silence left at dinner tables, in childhood bedrooms, in every unanswered call. It's the silence that follows a life cut short. Morgan Harrington's story isn't just about tragedy. It's about how fragile safety can be, how quickly an ordinary night can become a nightmare. Her life was stolen by a man who thought he could erase her, but he couldn't. Because every time her name is spoken, every time someone hears her story, Morgan lives on in defiance of the darkness that took her. If stories like this keep you hooked, hit subscribe for more.